Whispers to the Raven. Chapter 1. The Forgotten Graveyard. I didn't come here looking for ghosts. I came for answers. The forest around me is older than most maps. The trees don't sway in the wind so much as breathe. Their bark is brittle like dead skin, their roots gnarled like the fingers of something buried too long. I followed no trail to get here. The path was more a pull. Like some invisible hand tugged gently on the thread tied around my chest, leading me deeper with every step. They said the graveyard didn't exist, that it was swallowed by the earth long ago, that no one who ever found it came back quite the same. But they didn't know about the amulet. They didn't see it burn in my palm when I crossed the final tree line. I'm not even sure what I expected. A wrought iron gate? Crumbling statues? Something ominous and theatrical like in the books I used to read. But this place is quiet. Unnaturally so. There's no wind, no insects, not even birds. Just rows of crooked stones jutting from the moss like teeth in a half-rotted jaw. Some graves are marked with names so worn they're unreadable. Others are just mounds, like the forest itself tried to forget whoever lay beneath. But I don't forget, and neither does he. I see him perched on the twisted arm of an old yew tree, black as midnight, with eyes like twin shards of obsidian. He does not move, not even to blink, but I feel his gaze pierce right through me. They call him the Raven who remembers. They say he sees the past, not like a vision but as if it still breathes around him. I take a breath and speak aloud. My voice sounds too loud in this dead place. I need to know what happened to her. He says nothing. Of course he doesn't. But something shifts. A wind that isn't wind, a memory that doesn't belong to me, curls into my lungs like smoke. The world stutters. And I see. Not here. Somewhere else. Someone else. A small cottage. A woman, my mother, younger than I ever knew her, stands at the threshold, arguing with a man I've never seen before. There's panic in her voice. Fear in his. He's holding a satchel and I see the glint of something inside, something metallic and old. He says the words too fast to understand, but I catch fragments. Seal must never break. She'll be the last. If the Raven speaks to her. My mother grabs the satchel and runs. The vision shatters. The graveyard returns. My knees buckle beneath me and I collapse against a tombstone slick with moss. The Raven hasn't moved, but he is closer now. Somehow. His voice, when it comes, is not sound but presence. A pressure behind the eyes. A whisper beneath thought. To see the past is not to understand it. I swallow hard. I need more. His head tilts. Then give me something in return. What do you want? I asked, breath catching in my throat. The Raven hopped down from the tree branch, landing silently on a crooked headstone. He stared at me, unblinking. His feathers shimmered unnaturally, not just black, but almost oily like they absorbed the light around them. Shadows clung to him like smoke. Memories, the voice echoed in my mind. Mine? Yours? There's anyone's. Memories are the only currency the dead understand. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know if I wanted to understand. But still, I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out the photograph I had carried with me since I was 11. It was faded, edges curled. My mother and I, standing in front of a lake I could no longer name. Her smile was tight. My eyes were red from crying. The last day before she disappeared. The Raven tilted his head. Place it on the stone. I hesitated. If I give this to you, I won't forget her, will I? You won't forget the lie. That is what you fear. Not the memory, but what hides inside it. Trembling, I laid the photo on the moss-covered grave. The Raven hopped forward. He touched the corner of the picture with the tip of his beak. And then, everything shifted. The trees bent backwards. The sky inverted. And I was inside the memory, not watching it but inhabiting it. The lake. The same day. But now I saw what I hadn't seen as a child. My mother wasn't just anxious, she was terrified. She kept glancing over her shoulder. She kept touching the chain around her neck, the one I'd never seen her take off. And beneath the surface of the lake, something dark was moving. Watching. There was someone in the trees. A figure. Tall, robed, face obscured by a crown of bone. He whispered her name. My mother turned, grabbed my hand. Her mouth moved, but I didn't hear words. Only a scream that never reached the air. Then, crack. Like splintering stone. And I was back in the graveyard. I stumbled backward, gasping. The photograph had turned to ash. The raven was still on the headstone, but now I noticed something strange. The moss beneath his talons had withered. The name on the grave had reappeared, clear as etched glass. Maria Velan. She who made the pact and broke the seal. That was not my mother's name. But I knew, somehow, that it was her. I backed away slowly. What pact? I whispered. What seal? The raven clicked his beak, and a dozen shadows fluttered from the trees around us. Other birds. Watching. Listening. The past does not rot on its own, the raven said. Someone must bury it. She buried it in you. I blinked. What? You are her vault. Her lockbox. That is why you're here. The seal is cracking and the dead are listening again. I wanted to run, but my feet wouldn't move. You're saying I've been carrying something? This whole time. The wind picked up. Only there wasn't wind. Just a low vibrating hum that came from the stones around us. A curse, the raven said simply, wrapped in blood and memory. You are not the first to come looking for the truth, but you might be the last. Something shifted in me then. A memory I didn't recognize bubbled to the surface. A red door in a hallway I've never seen. A voice humming an old lullaby. And behind the door, sobbing. Tell me what I have to do, I said. The raven's feathers bristled. First, you must understand what she did. And to do that, you must see it all. The raven opened his wings and shadows poured from beneath them like smoke. I didn't see feathers, I saw memories. Flickering like old film, a woman standing on a cliff's edge, a burning tree, a child buried beneath stone. Then silence. The graveyard grew still again. Where are we going? I asked. Not where, said the raven. When? The world turned inside out. I was in a forest, but not the one I knew. The trees were younger. The stones weren't broken. I stood beside the same grave, only now it was fresh, the earth still dark with turned soil. A woman knelt beside it, sobbing. Her face was familiar, too familiar. My mother, only younger, eyes wild with grief, clutching something in her hands, a black feather soaked in blood. I stepped forward, wanting to speak, but my voice was gone. I was just an observer now, trapped in the folds of time. She's gone, my mother whispered, not to anyone I could see. I buried her myself. I buried her, and she still whispers. A shadow flickered in the trees, and the raven was there. Not the one guiding me, but himself, the past version. Larger, older. His eyes burned like coals. My mother knelt before him. I'll do it, she said. Whatever it takes. Do you understand the price? The raven asked. She nodded. Take it from me. All of it. Let her live without it. There was a sound like thunder with no sky. The feather she held caught fire. And then the vision broke. I collapsed against the old stone in the present graveyard, lungs heaving. My fingers were shaking. The raven stood near me, watching silently. She gave it to me, I said. The curse. To protect me. To protect you from what she did. But curses do not die in silence. They grow hungry and unnoticed until they devour the vessel. I don't feel cursed, I whispered. You will. I looked up at him, voice trembling. What did she do? What did she bury inside me? The raven paused. She bound a name. A chill slid through my spine. Whose name? The one who walks beneath the roots. I didn't understand, but part of me did. Somewhere inside my mind, in the darkest corner, I felt it, a name I couldn't remember but which had been mine once. Or hers. Or it's... You're telling me I'm being hunted, I said. Because of this name? No, the raven's voice was low. You're not being hunted. You are the door. The door to what? I asked, my voice barely more than breath. The raven didn't answer at first. He turned toward the twisted trees at the edge of the graveyard, as if listening to something I couldn't hear. To memory, he finally said. To things buried so deeply they've become roots beneath the world. I stared at the moss-covered stones surrounding us. Why me? Because she chose you, the raven said. Because blood remembers even when minds forget. I wanted to scream, to run, but I stayed still. Tell me everything, I said. The raven tilted his head. I can show you. He flapped his wings once and the air warped again, bending light, warping sound. Suddenly I was underground. Roots dangled above my head like black fingers. Bones littered the floor. Ancient carvings flickered in the stone, shifting and alive, crawling like insects across walls. And in the center, a massive tree, dead, hollow, but breathing. With every creak of its bark, a whisper echoed, Elora, Elora, Elora. My name, spoken by mouths that hadn't moved in centuries. Where is this? I asked. This is the heart, the raven said. The place her promise buried itself. I turned slowly toward the dead tree. It had eyes, carved into the bark, weeping sap that looked like black blood. She made a deal with this thing? I asked. Not a thing, he corrected. A memory that became a god. I shivered. What did she give it? The raven didn't blink. Her past, her name, her voice, all the pieces that made her who she was. In exchange for yours. I stepped closer to the tree. Then who am I? You are the result, he said. A life without history. A girl without shadow. I felt tears rising. So I'm not real? The raven shook his head. You're real. But your story belongs to someone else. And then I heard it. A whisper louder than the rest. Not from the tree. From inside me. A voice I didn't recognize, yet somehow knew. Let me out. The whisper echoed through me, not in my ears but somewhere behind my eyes. Let me out. I stumbled backward from the tree, shaking. What was that? The raven didn't answer immediately. He watched me, his dark eyes reflecting more than just the candlelight. They reflected me. Or what I thought was me. It remembers, he said. What she hid. What you are. I pressed a hand to my chest. My heart thundered, not from fear but from something rising. Something ancient. There's something inside me. Not something, he said. Someone. That whisper again, sharper now. Clawing. Begging. I turned away, gripping my temples. Make it stop. Please make it stop. But the raven shook his head slowly. You asked for the truth. This is the cost. The candlelight flickered, and suddenly I was back in the real world. The graveyard. Silent. Cold. I fell to my knees in front of the broken headstone, and for the first time I read the name carved into it. Elora Winter. My name. But not my name. A second name was carved beneath it, fainter, nearly erased. Vale. It rang like a bell in my bones. That was the name in the whisper. Who is Vale? I asked, though I already knew. Your other half, the raven said. The one she sealed away so you could live free. I closed my eyes. The wind picked up. Dead leaves spiraled around me. If I set her free, what happens to me? The raven stepped forward. For the first time his voice was gentle. You become whole. Pause. Or you become her. The candle beside the grave went out. The darkness wasn't empty anymore. It whispered. It waited. And I, Elora or whatever I truly was, had to choose what to do next. Chapter 2, The Name in the Ashes. I couldn't sleep. The whisper wouldn't stop. Let me out, it hissed inside my mind, curling like smoke through every memory I had. Only now I wasn't sure which memories were mine and which belonged to her. Bell. I sat by the windowsill of the old cottage. The graveyard was barely visible through the mist, just gray shapes under a pale moon. I had left the candle unlit. Darkness felt safer now. Honest. The raven sat on the banister just outside the window, watching me with that same patient, eternal gaze. She's awake, I said. She never slept, he replied. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking again. How long has she been inside me? The raven ruffled his feathers before answering. Since the blood pact. Since the night your mother brought you to the hollow tree. I froze. My mother? He nodded slowly. She made the bargain. One soul for another. To save you from a sickness that had no cure. I tried to recall it, but there was nothing. Just fragments, my mother's voice, a lullaby I couldn't place, her hand brushing my forehead. Then cold. Then darkness. She gave me Vale's soul? She split it, the raven said. Half sealed in the tree. Half sealed in you. And now it's waking up. The bird dipped his head. Because the hollow tree is dying. Its roots are no longer strong enough to contain the rest of her. I swallowed hard. Then what happens if it dies completely? Vale returns. The way he said it chilled me. Not rises, not escapes. Returns, as though she had always belonged here. As if I was the invader in my own body. The floorboards creaked. I turned, and there was a trail of ash across the wooden floor. From the door to the hearth. The fireplace hadn't been lit in weeks. I stepped toward it, and then I saw it. Burned into the stone beneath the hearth, beneath centuries of soot and silence, was a name. Vale. Not carved. Branded. Like fire had written it. The moment I saw it, something behind my eyes flared. A memory, but not mine. A field of burning flowers. A voice laughing in the dark. A woman in a crimson veil standing before a throne of bones. I screamed, and everything went black. I awoke in the middle of the floor, sprawled beside the hearth. My fingertips were coated in soot. My breath came in shallow gasps. The room was cold, unnaturally so. Not the kind of cold you could banish with fire, but the kind that seeped into bone and memory alike. The name was still there. Still burning, though the stone was cold. Pew. I heard the flutter of wings. The raven had flown inside, perching on the edge of the table. He watched me carefully. "What did you see?" he asked. I sat up slowly, my head throbbing. A field, on fire, and a woman in red, her face was hidden. The bird nodded grimly. The crimson memory, one of the first fragments to return. Fragments of what? He hopped closer. Of Vale's past, and of yours. But I don't remember those things. Not yet, he said. But the memories are waking. You are not two people anymore, you are a doorway. And both sides are open. I touched the edge of the hearth where the name had appeared. The soot crumbled beneath my fingers, revealing something else etched in the stone. A circle surrounded by 7 sharp symbols. Like a seal. What is this? The raven's voice dropped lower. The sigil that binds her. Or used to. Cracks ran through it now, thin but growing. She's breaking through. Yes. I stood unsteady and faced him. Tell me everything. All of it. I don't care how dark it is. Pause. Then he began. Long ago, before your birth, there were 7 vessels. Women marked by fate, each a keeper of a soul that could shape or destroy reality. Vale was one of them. The most powerful. The most feared. I felt something stir within me at the name. She was called the voice of the hollow. Because she could speak with the dead, bend their truths, and rewrite them. The air in the cottage thickened. Even the shadows leaned in to listen. But she broke the rules. Tried to break death itself. And the others turned on her. Stripped her soul from flesh. Sealed it where memory could not reach. Half in the hollow tree. Half in blood. My blood, I whispered. Your mother was one of the keepers. She begged the old ones for help. When they refused, she came to me. And I brought her to the tree. You led her to this fate, I said, not with anger, but with realization. The raven did not deny it. Because fate was already written. I simply turned the page. Outside, thunder cracked. And for the first time, I saw the branches of the hollow tree stretching across the horizon like veins. The seals were breaking. And something beneath the earth was whispering my name. The thunder faded, but the whisper did not. It stayed with me, pressed against the edges of my thoughts, like water seeping through cracks in a dam. Elora, or Vale? I didn't know if it was mocking me or calling me home. I turned to the raven. If the seals break, she comes back. But where do I go? What happens to me? He studied me in silence before answering. You are not 2 separate souls sharing a body. You are one vessel. When she rises, you will not vanish, you will change. Into her. Into what she once was, he corrected. But she may not be the same creature now. Memory rots when buried too long. She could awaken as something worse. I paced the small room, my nails biting into my palms. There has to be another way. Some way to separate us. To stop this. There is. I stopped. Tell me. The raven tilted his head. You could return the memories to the hollow tree before the roots collapse. If you give it enough of yourself, enough of her, the seal might hold. Might? He didn't answer. That silence said everything. I swallowed. What would I lose? Every memory that is not truly yours. Every shadow. Every part of her that lingers. And then I'll be safe? Safe, he repeated like the word tasted wrong. Yes, but you will never know what she knew. You will never understand why your mother made the bargain. The whisper inside me stirred violently at that. No, it wasn't just a thought. It was a scream. The room shook. Ash drifted from the ceiling. The name in the hearth glowed faintly again, like embers reigniting. She doesn't want to go, I whispered. Because she believes this is her body, the raven said. Her life, her second chance. I pressed my palms to my temples. I can't fight her if I don't even know what she is. The raven spread his wings. Then we must go deeper. Deeper where? He looked at me with eyes like endless night. Into the place where she waits for you, the memory hollow. But once we enter, we cannot turn back until you decide. Erase her or set her free. The wind outside roared like a living thing. I hesitated only a moment. Take me there. The raven leapt, his wings cutting through the air. Shadows wrapped around us both, pulling me down, past wood, past soil, past roots, until the world above was gone. We were falling, and below us something laughed. The fall ended without impact. One moment I was plummeting through endless black. The next I stood on solid ground, or something pretending to be ground. It rippled faintly under my boots like skin stretched too thin over bone. A dim light pulsed in the distance. It wasn't warm. It was pale like moonlight on ice. This is the memory hollow? I asked, my voice echoing unnaturally. The raven landed beside me, feathers bristling. Yes, but be careful. Not everything here belongs to you. I turned slowly, trying to take in the place. There were no trees, only pillars, massive roots rising like twisted columns, carved with shifting symbols. Faces flickered inside them, hollow-eyed figures pressing against the surface, whispering words I couldn't understand. Are those memories? I asked. Forgotten lives. Fragments left behind by those who came before you, the raven said. Do not touch them. They are hungry. The air grew colder. My breath fogged in front of me. Somewhere deeper, something hummed, a low rhythmic sound that seemed to vibrate through my bones. The whisper inside my head grew louder, merging with it. Elora, come closer. I froze. She's here. She is everywhere here, the raven warned. But do not answer her yet. I clenched my fists and moved forward, careful to avoid the root pillars. The ground beneath me pulsed faster, almost like a heartbeat. We reached an archway made of two enormous, spiraling roots. Beyond it lay a corridor lined with mirrors, not glass but water. Each surface shimmered with scenes from my past, except some weren't mine. I stopped at one and stared. A girl, me but not me, stood in a field of black flowers. Her hair was longer, her eyes darker. She turned her head sharply as if she felt me watching. Veil? I whispered. She smiled. And then the water rippled and her voice came through. Why are you hiding from yourself, little thief? My chest tightened. The raven stepped between me and the mirror. Do not engage her. But Veil kept talking. He wants you weak, afraid. But I remember everything. I know what your mother didn't tell you. I know what they did to us. I shook my head. She's trying to manipulate me. Correct, the raven said sharply. Keep walking. We moved deeper, but the mirrors followed us. Each one showed Veil in a different form, laughing, crying, fighting, kneeling in blood. And always those eyes staring straight into me. Finally, the corridor ended at a massive door made of roots fused together. It pulsed faintly with light, the same pale glow as before. Symbols were etched across its surface, 7 in total. I recognized them from the hearth. This is the seal, the raven said. Beyond this door lies her core, the heart of her memory. And I have to, what? Confront her? You must decide here. Either feed the hollow tree and bind her forever, or break the seal and let her out. The whisper inside me roared now. You need me. You are nothing without me. Open the door, Elora. I pressed my hand to the cold surface. The symbols burned under my skin. The raven's voice was steady but firm. Think before you choose. Once the door opens, there is no turning back. Behind the roots, I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate, and a voice, low, familiar, and terrifying. We were the same once. We can be again. The door trembled beneath my hand as if it could feel my hesitation. Each pulse from the roots matched the rhythm of my heart, or maybe my heart was matching it. Behind me, the raven's shadow loomed, steady, grounded. Elora, he said softly, you don't have to listen to her. But Vale's voice slid through the cracks like smoke. You think he's helping you? He's the one who led your mother to the hollow tree. He's the one who made the bargain possible. He's the reason I'm here at all. My hand froze. I turned to the raven. Is that true? His silence said enough. You used her, I whispered. I guided her, he replied. She came to me by choice. She begged for a way to save you. I gave her one. At what cost? He lowered his head. Every path has a price. Vale laughed. And he'll make you pay it too. He wants you empty, Elora. Quiet. Harmless. If you give yourself to the hollow tree, you'll be nothing but a shell. A name carved on a stone. I stepped back from the door, my mind spinning. Tell me the truth, I demanded, looking at the raven. If I bind her again, what happens to me? He hesitated. You will survive. That's not an answer. You will live, he repeated, but a smaller life. One without the weight, without the memories, without her. You will forget this place. Forget me. Forget everything. My throat tightened. That sounded like safety, but also like death of a different kind. Vale's whisper turned sharp. Or you can open the door. Take me back. Become what we were meant to be. Power, Elora. Truth. A life that is ours, not borrowed, not stolen. I pressed my hands to my head. I don't know who I am anymore. You are you, the raven said firmly. Not her. Not anyone else. You. Liar, Vale hissed. She is me. I am her. There was never a difference. The door's roots began to split. Thin cracks of pale light spilled out, crawling across the floor like veins. I could feel her reaching for me, not with hands but with memory. I saw flashes. A throne made of bones. A sky torn open by fire. A little girl crying in a dark room calling for her mother. That last one hurt the most. Tears burned my eyes. I don't want to be a monster, I whispered. You're not, Vale said gently now. You're just incomplete. The raven's feathers bristled. Elora, choose. Now. The roots groaned. The seals were seconds from breaking on their own. One choice. Seal her. Forget everything. Live safely, but as someone smaller. Or open the door. Accept Vale. Risk becoming something I might not control. I took a shaky breath. My hand hovered over the seal. The light burned my skin. Vale whispered, let me out, let us be whole. The raven whispered, you are enough as you are. And then, subscribe now and be the first to uncover the dark secrets in part 2. Don't miss it.